Groves at Governance Studio here, and we're on our journey through fiercely practical steps to creating great board minutes. We're on session 7, and this is going to be an actual operating report. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to show you the operating report that happened in May, so you can see what kind of information was provided. So I'm going into my DiliTrust board portal. I'm going to go into meetings, and this was actually stuff from 2023. And we're going to look at the May meeting. You can see I've got August here and May, and I'm going to go see the agenda. That'll be the easiest way to get this. So here's my May meeting, and I'm just going to scroll down here, and you can see that there's an operations report here. So this is the operations report that was presented to the board in May, and then later we're going to look at the minutes that talk about this operating report. So just going to open this up so you can kind of get a sense of what happened. In this particular case, they did a presentation slide deck and a marketing project update. And so if this was actually a full set of information, what you would see is you would have that whole presentation slide deck attached in here and the project update as well. But just a simple overview here. And so there's an operating report for ABC Company that was for May, and I just pulled that up. And so now I'm going to go back into the meetings here, just navigate over, go back into 2022. And again, we're looking at this August meeting because this is where the minutes from May are being approved. So we're going to go and take a peek in here and look to see what happened with this operating report here. I'll see if I can get it centered on the screen here, nice near the top, so that you can read it a little bit easier. And I'm going to talk to you about how I would go about processing these minutes. So the key thing that you're keeping in mind when you're writing the minutes for a board meeting is that you are trying to demonstrate that the directors were duly diligent, that they were being reasonable and practical and considering important information, those kinds of things, when they make decisions. So not every item on the agenda is a decision item, but a lot of items will be about the progress that management is making on key initiatives and things like that. So again, really important to always be showing that the directors are overseeing management, they're having conversations with them about specific items, etc. So I can tell you here, you see this little operations report. It's right now 1, 2, 3, 4 very short paragraphs. In my notes, if I were taking notes of this meeting, I probably had 2 or 3 pages of notes, even if I was taking them on the computer. So a lot more detail. I take notes with a high level of detail, and then when I go to do the minutes, ideally what you want is to have very much an overview of what happened. So I will go back through those notes and think about what are really the important things that were presented and talked about. And then, do I want to put one sentence for that thing, or do I want to put a couple of sentences? How am I going to do that? So again, really, really important here for thinking about how to kind of right size these. So you'll see here again, Ms. Carol Connor, CEO. If you go up here earlier, you're going to see Carol Connor, Chief Executive Officer, defined as CEO. She was there for part of the meeting, and so I'm using her name and title in the same way that she's normally named and titled. Provided the board with an update on the business and current opportunities. She reviewed the company's current sales, marketing initiatives, and financings. So I'm not going into detail. I'm not saying sales were this and that. I might for some organizations, I might not for others, but at least you want that high level that she reviewed those things for the board, because those are the things that the board ought to be paying attention to make sure the management team is on track and doing its job. So there might be a little bit more or less level of detail in here than what I've got, but most organizations tend to put too much detail into these minutes, and you can be at a lot higher level. So hopefully some of the stuff I'm telling you today will give you some ideas. Another tip that you can use is if you're in a meeting and someone's doing an operating report and they have a slide deck and they review 2 or 3 slides, you might look at those slides. There might be some good information on them. You might also just look at the titles on those slides, and it might have been current sales, marketing initiatives, and financings, and those might have been the slide titles, and that's a high enough level for in the minutes. So hopefully that kind of gives you a little bit of an idea here. And almost every type of organization is going to have certain things that are really important to it. So as you get to know your organization and learn about it, your ear is going to pick up on those things. If marketing is a big part of your business, then probably management's going to talk about marketing initiatives or marketing programs every time. And that's probably something that will almost be a standard notation in your minutes. So again, learn about your organization, understand its business, and that will help you in drafting the minutes as well. Ms. Connor noted the company was following up on a number of initiatives and potential partnerships that would expand current revenues, including the development of an online store. So this kind of stuff kind of falls into the category of things that are important to the organization's success. So again, I'm going through my notes. I have lots and lots of notes. There's questions back and forth, but then she gives this little bit of detail around partnerships and the development of an online store. Well, both of those things are going to be either significant new opportunities or significant new revenues. And so that's important to the organization. Now, the board isn't being asked to approve anything yet, but it's important. It's probably going to come up again. So I always try to look through my notes with that kind of a lens. What seems really important here? What might be in progress to get board approval at some point in the future? And try to throw in a short paragraph or a sentence or 2 sentences about those types of things. She provided an update on ABC First Marketing project that was designed to keep the company top of mind with customers. Again, so this might have been something important to the organization, something ongoing that she was reporting progress to the board. So again, you know, is there a progress item that should be updated? Another question you can ask yourself is, was there a topic that the board had a lot of questions on, or there was a lot of discussion back and forth with management? And this next paragraph is kind of that scenario, but you'll notice I'm not saying in, oops, sorry about that. I'm not saying in here exactly what the questions and answers were. I'm just saying that there was a discussion with the CEO about the shift in operations from production only to production and online sales. It was noted that the shift in operations would keep production capacity up and enhance overall revenue. So I kind of said, you know, what was the really big question that they were asking, and what was the, you know, overview answer that they were getting, without doing any of the he said, she said. So again, very high level, but I'm really demonstrating that they're overseeing the things that they ought to be overseeing, that they're having discussions, that they're making sure that progress is happening on initiatives, all of those things that show that the directors were doing their jobs the way they ought to have been doing their jobs. And the last thing I would say about this is this takes practice. You know, the more you do minutes, the faster you will get. So don't be discouraged if it takes a long time at first, but always be thinking about, you know, how can I keep this short and sweet and high level and still kind of pick out the really important pieces. So that's it for today for the operating report or operations report. Next session, we're going to be looking at the financial statements, and I'll give you some ideas and thoughts. Again, that's a really common report, so we'll go through that in the next session. And in the meantime, happy minutes, and I'll see you next session. Bye for now.